Hi, my name is Sarah Harvey and I'm the Senior Research Officer at Inform, a charity based at King's College London. I'm going to give a shortened version of a paper that I gave at the SENSAM conference on the 30th of June 2021. This was a part of a panel on Jehovah's Witnesses, and my paper looked at some of the inquiries that Inform has received about Jehovah's Witnesses. So I'm first going to introduce Inform, and then I'm going to talk a bit about the inquiries we've received. And the conclusion is that millennial issues have not been a significant theme in the inquiries. Inform is an educational charity which provides information that is as accurate, balanced and up-to-date as possible about minority religions and spiritualities. We don't define these terms too closely. They're a common sense starting point for a wide range of new and alternative religious movements, which have sometimes been labelled as cults. We've used the term new religious movement in the past as a more appropriate alternative to cult, but we now tend to use the term minority religion. Inform was founded in 1988 by Professor Eileen Barker, sociologist of religion at the London School of Economics. When she was studying the Unification Church, she found that much harm was being done by the lack of information, as well as misinformation that was purposefully put out by the movements themselves and by the media, relatives, ex-members and other critics. So she founded Inform to reduce the misinformation about religious groups that can fuel prejudice, hatred and harm. And we aim to bring academic research to a wider audience. There are two primary strands to our work. Inform was established to provide an inquiry service, and this is our remit as an educational charity. Anyone can contact us through our telephone line or email and ask for information about a new religion. Two things are essential for this: our database of movements, which I'll talk about in a moment, and our network of experts. And we rely on our experts to provide us with up-to-date information about the movements they are studying. However, since 2015, we have had no funding for our inquiry service. So the other key strand of our work is commissioned consultancy work, which is where we get our funding. We've done projects for the Department of Education and the Home Office, as well as other charities such as SENSAM and St Gabriel's. We've done quite a lot of work around religious education in schools and around extremism. And we also have a couple of public seminars every year, and we have a book series with Routledge. We have over 5,000 different religious movements on file. We add to our database as we receive inquiries or become aware of other groups. Whilst it is always incomplete and in need of updating, it might be the most comprehensive database about such movements. We categorise the movements by type, whether they are a new religious movement, old religious movement, cult watching group, and so on, and then by main and sub-tradition. We have 22 main religious traditions, and the majority of movements on our database are from Christian traditions, and we have around 100 sub-traditions. We then state whether the group is currently active and whether it's active in the UK. On our database, we have 941 new religions currently active in the UK. And of the 5,000 movements, 213 are characterised with a sub-tradition of millennialism. You can see here 20 movements about which we've received the most inquiries since 1996, which is when our computer records began. There are a few 19th century Christian sects here, including the Jehovah's Witnesses, also the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. There are also new Christian movements such as the Family International, previously called the Children of God, and the Jesus Fellowship, which became defunct in 2019. New Buddhist movements feature quite highly, such as the Tibetan groups, the Nuka Dampa tradition and Rigpa, the Japanese Soka Gakkai International, and the UK-based Triratna. There are also new Hindu movements, such as the International Society for Krishna Consciousness and the Brahma Kumaris, as well as groups based around the gurus such as Sai Baba and Mohan Singh. We do not receive many inquiries about Jewish or Muslim movements, and we think that people go elsewhere for information about these. At Inform, we have a long-standing interest in millennial issues, and we take a wide definition beyond the Christian traditions to include movements which consider some form of end time and salvation, and we're influenced particularly by the work of Catherine Wessinger. In the years leading up to 2000 and 2012, we received many inquiries from government bodies, media, other academics and more, asking about the significance of these dates for believers. Inquiries received around 2012 and the reports and presentations we wrote around that time fed into mine and Suzanne's edited collection on prophecy, which you can see here. So of the 213 millennial groups on file, we've categorised 75% as being from Christian traditions, 9% from broadly New Age traditions, and the rest from other traditions. 12% have female founders or subsequent leaders. And our interest in millennialism and gender was inspired by the 2016 CENSAM conference on gender and the apocalypse. Suzanne and I have since written the entry on gender for CENSAM's critical dictionary, and we use the Jehovah's Witnesses as an example of a millennial group with gender normative beliefs and practices. So turning now to focus on the inquiries we've received about Jehovah's Witnesses. This graph just shows the number of inquiries per year, and this is typical of inquiries to inform in general. We've had many more inquiries in the 1990s. Pre-internet days, people would contact us with simple questions. Post-internet, our inquiries have gone down in number, but they are often more complex and time-consuming questions. This graph shows Jehovah's Witnesses inquiries by type of inquirer. The graph is slightly unusual for our inquiries in general because the media inquiries are quite low. Instead, the greatest number of inquiries is received from relatives and friends of members. The second largest category is former members, followed by the general public. The general public inquiries tend to be simple requests for information or contact details, sometimes prompted by Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on their door, but also negative views of Jehovah's Witnesses reported to us, claims that Jehovah's Witnesses are targeting them or a cult, for instance, but there's nothing specific to Jehovah's Witnesses in the content of these inquiries. So what I've done here is to try and elicit the general themes of all the Jehovah's inquiries we've received. The majority are just requests for information, and then we either answered a specific question or sent summary information. And then we have inquiries which raise a general concern, and these include those things noted above: a general negative perception, a negative view in general, or a claim that a relative or friend has changed since becoming involved. And the content of these general concerns is not specific to the beliefs and practices of Jehovah's Witnesses, and don't raise key issues that we might expect, such as millennialism, blood transfusion, or disfellowshipping. Some inquiries were about ex-member support, from ex-members looking for support networks or offering them to others. Some inquiries specifically mentioned a marriage or dating issue, when one partner was a member or thinking of becoming a member, and the other wasn't, or was not as committed. And we've had inquiries from members thinking of leaving both their partner and the Jehovah's Witnesses, and from parents of adult children who are dating or marrying into the Jehovah's Witnesses. A few inquiries mentioned court cases for contact with children. Some inquiries were about what I have called a split in the family, and these are similar to the marriage concerns, but involve other family members, such as a sibling or a parent becoming involved. The dominant narrative of these inquiries is that the convert has changed following their membership, but of course this is not unique to Jehovah's Witnesses. Only a few inquiries specifically mention the issue of disfellowshipping. Our numbers are too small to say anything worthwhile about this, but it does seem that those who report disfellowshipping are also those feeling in extra need of support. Some inquiries mention education issues, and this is most often grandparents concerned about the educational opportunities of grandchildren who are being raised in the movement. But we've also had some inquiries from university chaplains and from schools. Some inquiries asked about the blood transfusion issue and others about abuse within the movement. A few inquiries report a concern over the lack of Christmas and other ritual and social celebrations. And this is generally an issue for relatives who are concerned that the member will not now join in family celebrations. A few mention financial concerns, and these are not inquiries about how Jehovah's Witnesses are funded, but rather specific issues around loans or property within those split families I mentioned. And only 2 inquiries mention millennialism, and these were both from former members who claim that their previous millennial beliefs are having a negative impact on their current lives. For example, one mentioned nightmares in relation to the end of the world. So millennialism is not a pronounced theme in our Jehovah's Witnesses inquiries. Concerns raised to us are often around family dynamics, about what to do when a relative joins or marries into, when children are born, and how to maintain family celebrations and contact. So it's not a simple case of labelling any millennial group as problematic because of their end-time beliefs. We always need to look at how these interact with and translate into action, and how millennialism impacts on other beliefs and practices that are part of the daily lives of believers. Thank you.